Montana is one of just a few states in the country that don't allow for any charter schools. Efforts to bring them here in the past at the legislature have failed. But just last week, two bills, both of which have an unknown cost to public education, passed out of the House and are now headed to the Senate. I spoke with a Billings mom who's interested in opening a charter school for kids with dyslexia, like her son Henry. They tried private school when it was time for him to go to kindergarten, but then lost the early intervention state services he was receiving.
We have since switched him to public school, and it's going really well. They've been great to work with. They do have some resources available to him, but because of the nature of his disability, he learns a different way. His dyslexia, it's not just difficulty learning to read.
Wright wants to access state funding to create a new option for kids like Henry.
I think that having a school for students with dyslexia would be an amazing opportunity just to make sure that they are getting those services that they need, but are also with other students who are learning the same way that they are so that they can stay on track with their cohort and their peers.
There's two bills that could create this option this session. HB 562 is sponsored by Billings Republican Representative Sue Vinton. HB 549 is sponsored by Great Falls Republican Representative Fred Anderson. They're similar but contain key differences in how much they could cost and what regulations the bill would require charters to follow. Here's Billings Public Schools Superintendent Greg Upham's take on the two measures.
Yeah, I'm not opposed to any charter bills other than the one that's being sponsored by Ms. Vinton. I have concerns with because it doesn't have any regulation over it. Representative Anderson's bill, the charter school is fine. We have a form of a charter school in our career center, so I think it leads to innovativeness and allows for some change.
In early March, Governor Gianforte signed a public schools funding measure that added about $86 million to the state's K-12 base aid funding. Both HB 562 and HB 549 would allow for charter schools to access that funding as well, with no limit on the number of schools that could be established. This makes the cost of the measures difficult to estimate. Melissa Romano is a House Democrat from Helena who sits on the Education Committee. She was Montana's Teacher of the Year in 2018 and does not agree with Republicans' call for school choice.
This is not what the public wants. The public wants public money going to public schools with licensed teachers who are top-notch and who have accountability measures, and none of these charter schools have that.
In a statement after the bill passed out of House Appropriations, she said whether or not it happens immediately, these dangerous bills will funnel unlimited amounts of public tax dollars to unregulated, unlicensed, and unaccountable schools. It's unclear if Governor Gianforte would sign either of these measures if they pass the Senate and make it to his desk. A spokesperson tells MTN the governor will carefully consider the bills in their final forms when the legislature sends them to him. In Billings, Augusta McDonald for MTN News.